ways to say things that feel difficult to say.
Yeah.
And we have a few of them. We're not Rocco. We can't just bark. And so don't go anywhere. We're going to chit chat first, and then we're going to talk about polite ways to say things that feel hard to say.
Yeah.
And then at the end, because I don't think that we got to this, but I have a note because I want to talk about knowing when you're not in a conversation. By that, I mean when it's not a dialogue, how to understand when it's not a dialogue. Because when you're just trying to, when it's not an exchange of information, when somebody's just asking you questions to get information and not back and forth, and they're not really listening. So we're going to talk a little bit about that because that's kind of a tricky thing, and you handle that really differently. So we're going to chit chat. It's so funny. We were talking about chit chat earlier. And what did you say?
I got nothing.
Last week you had nothing, you said.
I know. I got nothing this week either. I'm just nothing particularly going on.
Nothing particularly going on. Well, I will say this live will be a little bit short because we thought we had our equipment plugged in. But turns out
We did not.
and we plugged it in as soon as we realized, and it only went up 3%.
I know.
Oh gosh.
I know.
Okay. So we definitely don't want it to cut off during a live because we'll be here talking. We won't even know it's cut off. Our sound person is not able to be here tonight, so we're making it happen.
I know. Our
with the two of
comments
us.
person is tied up too.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
We're winging it.
We are. So a little chit chat. Okay, I had a tiny bit of little chit chat.
What's up?
So
What you got?
and I got something of yours too. I was thinking about the pets. No, I was thinking about when the restaurant that we went to most recently. That was really fun. I don't think we talked about it specifically,
No, we didn't. We didn't talk about that.
but we had seen it on Instagram. And it looked so much fun.
Yeah.
And so then an opportunity came up for us to be up in Houston. So we were like,
Let's
go to
I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Buttermilk Baby.
Okay, Buttermilk. I wanted to say Buttercup, but I knew that wasn't right. Buttermilk Baby.
Buttermilk Baby.
Yeah,
And
it's in the Heights at the MTK Market.
And it's really, we had one of the best burgers.
Oh,
that
so
we had.
good.
We split, like we'll usually do like swapsies. I'll get one thing, she'll get another, and then
That way we can try multiple
try
things.
two things. And we had like a chicken, which I really didn't care for that. You liked it.
I liked it. I thought it was really good.
I didn't really
But the
care for
burger
it.
was really good.
Yeah, I would go back for the burger. And if you, I would just say, like, guys, if you're listening, take your woman there.
Yeah, it's a cool
so-
date place.
It's a really neat place. It's like a diner, would you say?
Yeah, it's like a funky diner, very pictures. Like you can go and take pictures for sure.
Yeah. They have some swings outside that we were able to sit in and take pictures. And it was pretty fun.
It was a lot of
and
fun.
the inside is, really cute designed and things like that.
Yeah, I think the idea of it was also so that you could go and take pictures and social media friendly and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. And
Yeah.
when we were there, it was really cool because there was a lady that was wearing a T-shirt that said, happy birthday to me.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at it, and she actually ended up taking our pictures. But I remember looking at it thinking, that'd be a cool shirt because then you don't just wear it on your birthday. You just wear it
Any day.
any day. So I didn't know whether it was her birthday or not. And so we talked to her, and it ended up being her birthday.
Yeah.
We were able to wish her happy birthday.
Yeah, she was really neat.
That was kind of cool. I
Yeah.
thought, afterwards, I thought what would have been really neat if we saw that before and we could have secretly like paid for her lunch.
I know. That
But
would have been neat.
You pay
Before.
you order and then you pay. and
Yeah.
then so
It's
but-
like bar service. You walk up, you order, you pay, and then they bring you your food.
yeah. So that was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
And we hadn't shared about that. So
That's true.
We can chit chat about that.
That's true.
You know what I've been thinking about that we haven't done recently?
What's that?
But I was thinking about it's got to be time
What?
soon for
I'm not sure.
where we go and
No idea what you're
She she knows sign language, and she does not understand my sign language.
book.
Book. The
She's saying to me,
The-
it was like, okay,
okay. The
got it. The silent book reading.
Yes,
Yeah, good
yes.
job. Good job. Now that I was on
I
your
would play.
page.
I play charades. She does sign language.
That's right. No, that was awesome.
Really?
Yeah, that was good. No, you did good.
So is it coming up anytime soon?
I don't know. The last couple ones they've had have been on like a time we weren't able to go.
Darn.
But I will check their November and December schedule and see
Yes.
if they're having the silent book reading.
I love that we're getting
Yeah.
into the fall.
It was fun. I know,
The
me
fall is
too.
fun.
I'm so excited. I'm in a new neighborhood and I'm like, okay, now that the fall is here and this cooler weather, I can like walk around more and
Yeah.
I live kind of central in my neighborhood and there's a lot of places you can walk to and things you can go to. I even thought about I texted my mom the other day and I said, I think I want this for Christmas because she starts asking early in the year and it's like an electric scooter.
Yeah.
And then I saw a TikTok of a nurse that was like, I see more injuries from electric scooters.
You'll be fine.
I know. She goes, where are you going to go on this? And I was like,
Everywhere.
everywhere. So
Yeah.
we'll see. That may or may not be in my future, but I will wear a helmet 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want brain.
I'm not
damage,
that crazy.
Brain injury.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
No. not
And
at
that's
all.
what she was talking about, the nurse,
Safety
because people
first.
don't wear helmets.
Oh really?
Yeah. A
think
lot
that
of
they
brain
do.
injuries from
Yeah.
electric scooter accidents, apparently.
So we will have to find since Christina has no chit chat, we have got to find something fun to do.
Yeah. I just have
To
been
produce
busy
chit-chat.
working and just, I don't know. But that was fun. I forgot we went and did that.
Yeah,
That was a lot of fun.
with that, and we went to a movie
Mhm.
also, and that was fun. So let's see, chit chat also, because I wanted to ask y'all if anybody has a good recipe for this. So here's my dilemma, right? Like I love like chicken, like, we try to eat higher protein.
Yeah.
So in eating higher protein, we really will get to ministry stuff. But in trying to eat higher protein, it's hard to find a good chicken recipe. Like
Yeah.
if you're having a chicken breast, like you don't want it to be dry. So I was doing some research and it talked about brining chicken.
Yeah.
So that brine, I made a brine. Of course, my grocery order was late. I know.
Eh.
I was supposed to get it the night before, so I got the next day, so I couldn't make the brine then. But when I went home, I made the brine. Oh my gosh, it made my house smell so yummy.
Ooh, I bet.
So yummy. I was like, okay, this has got to be good. So I brined my chicken last night, overnight, and then I got it out this morning, but I had to get to the office, so I wasn't able to cook it. So I'm going to go home and cook it tonight. And I'm pretty pumped about that.
Nice.
And so I'm hoping what's going to happen is it's going to produce that really tender, juicy chicken. So if anybody has a good brining recipe, or how long do you brine your chicken breast for?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like it was a lot of stuff to get together to make the brine, but I'm hoping it makes my chicken worth it.
I bet it does.
So that. I'll
Sounds
bring
good.
some tomorrow and we can try it.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. I can't wait. I don't know how to make like really good moist
Yeah.
grilled chicken. I don't know how to do that.
I will, if you give me the opportunity, I will overcook a chicken breast all day long.
I should ask my
So-
sister-in-law. She's a very good cook.
That's true. Danielle
Yeah.
probably
I'll ask
will
her.
have a good one. I'm going to use the temperature so I know
Okay.
I'll know when, not to overcook it. If I don't cook by the thermometer,
Yeah.
I'm a little germaphobe, a little germ
Sure.
paranoid, so
Yeah.
I will overcook it.
Just to be safe. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with chicken.
Oh, yeah. Got to be
I'm like,
careful.
I'm
I
not-
do know you have to be careful with that.
I'm not that, and I hear pork.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that too. Yeah.
Because we don't want
We're
any
not trying to get
problems.
sick
We're
from
not trying to
undercooked
have
chicken
any
and pork.
problems, no. So see, we did have a little bit of chit chat. We just had to
Dig it out.
like tease it out. I do want to remind everybody also of all the fun stuff. We're literally, part of the problem is we're not having too much extracurricular activities because we're too busy making fun and exciting things happen for next year.
Yeah.
So we have some exciting announcements coming up pretty soon. So stay tuned. Okay, let's see. Let me do a little bit of a quick review. I marked the line where we stopped, but I'm not sure. Sometimes I'll skip around. No, it's on down here.
Oh, okay, okay.
Not that line.
I was like,
You're like, we didn't get very far.
yeah.
We've been talking about growing up to bend down. And that becomes important because a lot of times when we mature, we get, when we talk about growing up kingdom style, we don't want to get to the point where we're pious and we're just like, oh, we're so much better than everybody for spiritual growth. The whole point of spiritual growth is that you're able to love people better, that you're able to connect with people better, that you're able to have more empathy. So just again, a reminder, we grow up to bend down. Everything that you grow in, it really helps for other people. So I want you to be aware of that. Some of the things that we talk about being proactive, not reactive. Know what you want when you get into conversations, and don't use passive communication. Really, the more that you know what you want and you want to say, then the more direct the communication becomes. So down here, okay, here's the real line.
Okay.
It was like we were looking, we're like, we didn't get very far, but we did. And so again, this is all about, we're just going to do some of these, in that sometimes things can feel uncomfortable to say. Sometimes you want to, when you begin to understand, okay, this is what I want, and you start to learn how to express yourself, some people don't really know how to do it. They feel like, oh my gosh, if I say this, it's going to be rude. If I say this, people are going to get mad at me. And you really do have to get to the point where it's like, okay, how can I say this? And it doesn't hurt to practice. Sometimes we'll tell our clients to, hey, like, look in the mirror, or hey, let's role play right now.
Yeah.
And we'll do this. The more comfortable you get using new language around how you want to say things, it gets easier and easier. It really does. Now, this one is, this could be used at work, or this could be used really with friends or anything like that. And I think maybe we ended with this one. I'm going to go up one before, actually, because I think we ended with this one. But I'm going to repeat one of the ones that we said last year. Sometimes the saying is, I'm not confident that is the best solution. Now, where this might come into play is if somebody's trying to convince you of something, somebody's trying to say, yeah, this would be what's best. And no, that's stupid. Like, don't say that. Don't say it that way, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to want to say it? I'm just not confident that's the best solution for me. Or, we've talked before about saying things like, you know what, I don't think that's going to work for me. And so you're not insulting the solution. You're more talking about yourself, saying, I don't think this will work for me, or I'm not confident that that's the best solution for me. And so you kind of want to do that. This next one, thank you for all your input. I will need time to process the information. I want to say maybe we went over that last week. I'm not sure, but it's good enough that it bears repeating, because a lot of times when you get into a situation where somebody's trying to advise you what to do, and they just kind of overload. And I would call it like an information dump. And an information dump, no, we don't want to know. We don't want to say, stop, tell me no more. Instead, say something like, hey, thank you, but I'm going to need time to process this information. A lot of times, like we've talked about before, where it is really, I don't know who's trying to call. It is very good to know your limits. We talked a little bit about that, and knowing your limits. When somebody starts to check out, when you start to check out of a conversation, pay attention to those signs. Like, your limits of when, we talk about it here sometimes, if we're like, okay, I'm not listening anymore, or I'm checked out, or hey, can you tell me that
again in about 30 minutes or after I eat?
Or, we're talking and then one of us zones out and it's like, I'm sorry, I was not listening. Could you repeat that? Could you repeat the last 5 minutes? Hopefully we catch it before then. But understand, sometimes, like if somebody's having a conversation with you and they get stuck on 3 sentences back, kind of pay attention to the body language, but also pay attention to when that happens to you also. So again, thank you for all of your input. I'll need some time to process this.
Yeah, I'll say
information.
I'm still stuck on that third thing you said. Hold on, I'm not where you're at. Yeah. The other day I told my dad, we were talking about stuff, and we talked about it for a long time. We were just talking about some informational stuff. And he's like, "Oh, let me show you this too." And and I said, and I wanted to know the information, but I knew, I was like, I noticed I'm not taking anything in. I said, "I think I'm at max capacity, Dad." And he's like, okay. So we'll just pick it up another day.
And remember, when we're talking about these things, there's the conversations, like you and your dad were having a conversation.
Yeah.
You're both into it. You're both contributing. But also there's different conversations that aren't really dialogues. They're more monologues, and somebody's trying to get you to change your mind, or somebody's just trying to influence your decision, and it's not really wanted.
Yeah.
And those are really, really different circumstances. So again, we'll talk a little bit at that before we end about, like, how do you navigate that? How do you understand if you're in a position where somebody's not having a conversation with you? They're just trying to squeeze a certain outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. We use this one all the time for somebody who has a hard time saying no. Like if you just impulsively are a yes person, then like somebody says, "Can you do this?" Yes. Like, no. Always just memorize this sentence and use this. It's a nice way to buy you some time so you think about it. There's all those memes that said, my extroverted self screwed over my introverted self,
My Tuesday extroverted self is not happy with my Friday introverted self.
Because now you got to go do that plan.
Yeah.
That
The
had
plan
you
you
thought
made.
about it for a second, you might have said, no.
No.
So, puppies.
Somebody
Probably.
honked.
Oh, did they honk?
Somebody honked, yeah.
I imagine sometimes when people are driving by, they're like, "Hey, Truth Driven Ministries, honk, honk, honk."
Yeah.
I've heard people say.
Yeah.
I just didn't make that up in my head.
No.
I've heard
People
people
have told
say.
you.
People have said, "Hey, when I honk when I drive by."
Aw.
I know, it's funny. It's all about us. I will need to check my calendar and I'll get back to you. Don't ever, if you're a yes person and it feels uncomfortable to say no, or it feels uncomfortable not to say yes even, then just understand that you have to check your calendar and you'll get back with them. That way you won't regret saying yes to something and you're like, oh. Have you ever said yes to something and it's like you don't want to break your commitment, so you just end up going ahead and doing it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. I had a client the other day that this is one of my hair clients. She was telling me that she's like, "I almost used you as a reason to not go somewhere." So what do you mean? She's like, it was so cute. She had all these reasons why she was trying to come up with to tell them she couldn't go, and she ended up going and having a good time. And
what was she gonna say?
Because she had
Do
a
you
hair
remember?
appointment. She was gonna say, "I had a hair appointment," but it was the next day. It wasn't that day. She's like, "I was gonna throw you under the bus."
It happens to all of us.
I know.
Every now and then.
But I was like, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing is when somebody's kind of coming at you, asking you the same question again and again and again. And this is really helpful with children also. Have you ever been asked the same question 1,000 times? Just to simply, when somebody asks you it, don't keep responding to it. Just say, my response hasn't changed. Like if you say, no, thank you, my response hasn't changed. My response hasn't changed. The answer is still no. The answer is still no. Yeah. You ever had somebody badger you like that?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
It's
hard.
It can get awkward.
They can.
Yeah.
And, you usually will not, and I don't know, some people will feel uncomfortable to, like, they're making it uncomfortable.
Yes.
And you feel bad for making it more uncomfortable by saying something they're not going to like. And so you just, okay, And then I've done it where I've like spoken back, and then I'm like, I feel bad later for
Yeah.
And
But the rude thing is to keep asking the question that you've already answered.
Yeah.
But you're right. Most people will feel guilty because you have to become a little bit more forceful in how you return the same answer again. And then you end up feeling bad for something that the other person was really being very rude with.
to begin with. Yes. But it's a little, as you were talking about it, I thought, is it, because I've seen you have to respond in some of these ways. Is it uncomfortable for you? Does it make it awkward for you, or do you feel pretty comfortable to do that?
I'll say at this point in my life, there was a time when I was a real big people pleaser. And at this time in my life, I honestly, I look at it, if somebody keeps asking the same question, I mean, I'm pretty patient and I'll answer maybe once, maybe twice. But if it's clear they're just fishing for, trying to push a different answer, that comes off to me as extremely rude.
Okay.
And so I don't really feel uncomfortable anymore answering.
That's good. We all have hope.
Because it just, you just get to the point where you're like, that's not a me thing. That's a them thing.
Yeah.
And I would, I did answer it politely the first once or twice. And then I don't know what she's looking at that roll of paper towels or something. Sorry, the dogs are being funny here. She's staring at something. Do you see something, sweetie? I think she sees that roll of paper towels and is like, I don't know. But it's saying, going back to what I was saying is, when people make it awkward, don't feel bad about standing your ground. You're not making it awkward. They made it awkward. You're just not backing down.
Yeah.
People will, that's a good point. People will look to you to smooth everything over and make everything nice. Like if they stand there and they make it awkward enough, then you're going to recant, or you're going to be like, okay, yes, I guess I can, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not nice.
Right.
When people do that.
Yeah.
And here's another one. Here's another way to say that I feel like I've already answered this question.
Oh, that's good.
And so there are so many different ways to kind of point out, like, I'm not changing my mind. I'm not changing my answer. You can keep asking, and what you're trying to do is to deter them continuing to answer. If somebody asked me once, then twice, I'd probably give people two times, and then the third time, I would probably honestly just walk off. How do you think you would handle it?
Dang.
Well,
No, just kidding. I'm just messing with you.
if I ever walk off on you, I feel like I feel like I've answered that question. And I'm not talking about like,
I've asked you questions before repeatedly, and you said like, "Well, I thought we talked about that." You won't say it. I thought we discussed that. I'm like, "Oh, we did. I don't remember." And you'd be like, "Okay," and you'll go back over it with me again. So,
but if I get the sense that somebody is just trying to manipulate, control, gaslight, all those things, no,
sure,
I'm not having it.
To me, I feel like I just had a moment like when you told me about the drive-through. I feel the same way. I'm like, dang, I'm gonna try it.
I know.
I don't know. But no, I had somebody not too long ago, and they were having a conversation with me, and they didn't stop, and I had to move on. And later on I walked away, and I thought, oh, God, I felt bad about how I handled that. But I thought, no, that person was monopolizing my time, and I had already made it clear that I needed to move on.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, but it's still uncomfortable for me to do that. It's still awkward, and I'm still getting used to it. I do it a lot more now than I used to.
Yeah. I would definitely say that we all have to get used to and embrace the awkwardness.
Yeah.
You're not trying to make it awkward for somebody, but if they have made it awkward, then lean into it.
Right.
Like,
Just
that
go
is
for
just how it needs to be. She is so funny. Our dog is sitting here staring. Like, she's like been around like all sides of this thing staring at it. She's like, she knows we're talking about her.
I know.
But when people make it awkward,
I know.
like that, like be confident that that's not on you. That is total rudeness and total disrespect, and you have to decide just how you want to handle it.
Yeah, I think people even I will say would think people like salespeople like at the mall and stuff like that.
Ooh, don't
I
even get
have
me
no
started.
problem. I have no problem. Like I've even had them like grab my shoulder, and I will say something. But I know a lot of people really have a hard time with that. Even that, like
Stranger
even,
danger.
Yeah, I'm like, don't touch me.
Start
And I
yelling
will.
that
I'll
out.
be very blunt with them. But I know a lot of people will have a hard time. They'll stop. They'll listen to the sales pitch. They'll even feel so bad that they'll buy something because they just don't want to say no.
No.
Yeah.
And that's where really, when you begin to value yourself and value your time, you don't like to be gaslit. You don't like to be controlled. You don't like to be manipulated. And it's something completely different if, like, Holy Spirit will say, hey, listen to that person, or hey, respond this to that person. Totally different. But outside of the Holy Spirit, if somebody's really just trying to push their agenda on you,
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of patience for that.
Get out of there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because like I said, it's you decide who has your mind.
Yeah.
And if you're going to give your mind over in conversations like that, you're just training yourself to do those things versus just saying like, no, thank you, I'm not interested. Or I feel like I've really answered this question. And that's a good point with the salespeople. Salespeople are notorious. One of the things, like, I don't mind somebody doing their job and somebody, describing a product that's helpful to you. But a lot of times they're that high pressure sales. Like I remember, just people like, especially coming to your door. Don't intrude on my space. Right. If I call and I ask, that's
Right.
one thing. But if somebody comes and rings my doorbell, things like that,
Remember that phone call I had the other day? That made me think of it. It's like I got like a sales call, and I every now and then I'll answer it in case it's a client or something and I don't know the number. And I answered, and I don't remember what it was about. And anyway, I said, I don't really have time to talk about it right now, but I'd love to call you back and get some more information. And she's like, okay, we can call it a better time. And I said, do you have a number I can call? And she just stopped in her she goes, no. And she hung up on me. I was like, well, I guess it's not legitimate if you don't have a number I can call you back,
I know.
Yeah.
It really, and stuff like that where they try to pressure you. Well, just say like if it's like a book series for kids, do you not care about your kids' ability to read? Oh man, that just,
Nope.
that kind of gaslighting, that kind of rudeness, that kind of trying to, and it gets some people because they keep doing it, but kind of use that hook strategy. It's like, well, don't you want your children to succeed, or things like that? Or, I've said things like, trying to be polite, saying no, thank you. Or, you know what, if I'm interested, I'll talk with my husband and we'll get back to you. So you need your husband's permission?
Ooh.
Like, I mean, people will do things like that. And we're talking about it in the context of sales, but people do that in
Day-to-day life.
They do.
Yeah.
And they try to have these little passive aggressive comments that tries to get you to re-engage in the conversation. And even things like, we're talking about like when you've already answered something, and what they're trying to do, if they're not being respectful of that, what they're trying to do is to get new information out of you so that they can take it from a different angle. Yeah.
I will say, when it comes to strangers and stuff, it's not as
easy.
hard for me. But when it comes to people I know, or if I'm in an environment where this is I need to be friendly, I'm going to see these people again. I think I struggle more in that area.
Let's make up a situation.
Okay.
Let's say, and your mom is sweet. We're going to use your mom, but she's sweet, so she wouldn't do this. But we're just...
Pretend.
I think people can identify with moms.
Yeah.
So you have plans. You have something that you want to do. And mom says, hey, can you come by and I'd really like to go run out to the store. Would you like to come run out to that store with me?
I would say I would love to go do that. Is there any way we can go maybe tomorrow or tomorrow morning or something? I already have plans for today.
So what if your mom was not your mom? Because your mom's totally
Yeah,
precious.
she would be like, no problem.
Yes. She would not
No.
be like the mom I'm about to describe. And so we'll role play.
Okay.
But I haven't gotten out of the house all day, and I'm really feeling down, and I really like to get out.
Do you want me to answer how I would really answer?
Yeah.
I would be like, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm like, I haven't seen this person in a long time, and we already made plans, and I hate to break a commitment at the last minute.
Well, I really wouldn't push it, except that I'm having a hard time.
I'm not going to lie. If my mom, because my mom doesn't do that,
Yeah.
if she
But
did,
this isn't your mom. This is
I
another
would
mom.
strongly consider rescheduling.
Yeah.
But if this was like a consistent thing and I really wanted to hold that boundary, I would say, I totally get that, and I understand that you're not feeling well.
So what do we say to our clients that aren't in the place that you are?
Oh.
Because not everybody feels the freedom to say no to
Yeah.
people, or to, especially when people, what I'd say, get controlling or manipulative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because remember, with control or manipulation, somebody's trying to push their agenda. And when somebody's trying to push their agenda, it's no longer a conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. So how would somebody who isn't as strong as you are in that area, what advice would you give to them about not caving?
I don't know, honestly. I'm trying to think exactly how I would, because I'm pretty much like, well, we're going to have to get stronger at saying no. We can say it politely.
We can say it politely. But what I'd say is you have to realize the people in your life. It's that if somebody is rude and disrespectful, which that just didn't sound rude, and what I was saying didn't sound rude and disrespectful,
Right.
But it still is.
Okay, I might say, how do you feel about your mom not really respecting your time?
What do you mean? She's just tired. She's just lonely. She just wanted to get out. And I felt so bad about saying no.
Well, you know
I
what?
can't say no to mom. Do you say no to your mom?
I think that you can learn how to say no to your mom, because you know what? When we feel sorry for someone, we're being worked. And when we're being worked, we run.
Well, I think we just have different moms.
We do.
That's kind of, sometimes when you get a client that pushes back, and they're not really trying to push back, but it is hard. It is a lot of pressure to say no
Yeah.
before you're ready to say no. So
Yeah.
if you can't say no, that's why, that one in here when we said, I need to check my calendar and let me get back to you. Or, hey, mom, fib a little, sorry. Somebody's at the door. I'm going to need to call you right back. Jesus, what do I do? Like, anytime that you cannot be caught in that moment, then don't be caught in that moment. Even like I said, if you have to say whatever you need to say, get off the phone, call them right back. Because even sometimes in that minute or two that you self-talk to say, you know what? I've been training for this moment. I've been training for it. And I don't want to say yes, and I can't I don't want to take accountability for this yes, so I'm going to have to say no.
Yeah.
And so, okay, what am I going to say to this person? And so then I always say, get in, get out. Get in, get out, because get in, get out, what does that mean? Like, make it clean. That they're going to want to keep you on the phone. They're going to want to argue with you, and you just have to set the tone for that you're not going to do that. I would say those are some good, start there if you're having a hard time saying no. And then also I would say practice with somebody. Like, that's why we like to do the little back and forth sometimes, because people can see, and it's like, oh, okay, we could do that. Or like, oh yeah, that was a train wreck. Like,
Yeah. And sometimes I'll say, well, what can you say no to? Like, let's find something in there that you can start with.
even if it's tiny.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can't say no to mom in that moment. Can you say no to, I don't know, can you say, well, I will come, but I'll have to come later? You know, can you just start to sort of build up a little bit of that? No, I don't know.
I know. I'm not laughing at you. I was just.
I think that's good. You got to start somewhere.
I just had this picture because what's going to happen if you don't start small? If you don't practice, you're going to be at Thanksgiving dinner and somebody's going to ask you to pass the rolls and you're going to be like, no, I won't. I will not pass the rolls. I've passed the rolls all my life and I will not. It'll come out.
And don't ask me again. 100%.
So you do. I wasn't trying to laugh at you. You do want to start small.
Yeah.
Because if not, if you just keep suppressing it, you will blow a gasket.
You will.
Yeah.
You'll get triggered at just the wrong moment.
And embarrass yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Start with the drive-through lady. Tell her no.
Start small.
See how that goes. I almost did it the other day, and I was like, I got time. I can wait.
Yeah.
But I still had to go in because they got it wrong. And anyway, it was funny. That's okay, though.
Check the bag before you drive off.
I'm telling you. Well, if they bring it to you, they like throw it at you and then run off. You know, they don't wait.
That is true. Okay, this last one here, and then I want to talk just a minute about that, but we better watch. We could be on dead air right now. Our equipment dead.
We definitely could.
We don't know because no one's minding the equipment right now. Okay. And this is when you're asking for opinions, you know, like maybe you're car shopping. Hey, what kind of car do you like? And you're just kind of trying to get information. And then somebody's following you around for 6 months, still giving you suggestions. Thank you, but I'm no longer taking suggestions. I've moved into the implementation stage. And you can use that. That's a real good one at work too. Like a lot of times people just want to keep giving you feedback and you've moved on from that. You're not in the suggestion phase anymore. You've already made the decision. You're implementing it and you're going full speed. So you're not taking suggestions.
Yeah.
Anymore.
We've talked about stuff. If we talk about things we're trying to work on, we'll say something like, oh, I've already run through that door. That's already done.
Nope.
We're in the next step.
And so it's okay to say no to people. It's okay to say no to people's ideas. Remember, this whole thing is about how to say uncomfortable things to people. You're not going to be able to be okay with it initially. It's going to feel uncomfortable and it's going to feel awkward, and that's okay. It's totally okay. Because remember, like we talk about comfort zone, if you just get one hair out of your comfort zone every day, just a little teensy bit out, then your comfort zone begins to enlarge. And I think that saying uncomfortable things in a polite way, that's one of the best ways to practice growing your comfort zone. So as we're going to wrap this up in just a minute, but what I want you to think about, again, this is critical. You know, we've kind of mixed it up in these examples, but you've got to know when you're having a dialogue and when you're not having a dialogue. Because if somebody's trying to control you, manipulate you, gaslight you, they just trying to push their agenda, understand you're not having a conversation. You're not having a dialogue. So in those cases, I say to you, just listen to what they're saying and don't explain yourself. How much, right. Say that again. Don't explain yourself. Because again, the more information that you give them, they're trying to change your mind. They're trying to get information to move the conversation in a different direction. Their goal isn't the same as yours. Their goal is not to figure out how you think about it. Their goal is not to understand your point of view. And so you really do want to discern what type of conversation you are in, if it's even a conversation or if it's a manipulation or if it's a control tactic. Because you don't offer an explanation. Like if I was talking to somebody that was very, like, let's do this or let's do this, and I say no and they don't listen, I'm not going to explain myself, because what if they're going to use your explanation? You're just trying to share your heart. You're not coming from a bad place. You're like, I just want to tell them what I think about this and where I'm coming from, because they must not understand. Like, no, they understand. They just don't care. And so, like, if you asked me something, if you're like, hey, let's go to lunch, and I'm like, oh man, I can't. I've got to do this, or I'm like, I have no problem explaining to a mutual relationship, one that's a give and a take. But if you're in a relationship with somebody who's just trying to, oh man, kind of like that mother situation that we did earlier, the mother's goal is to get what she wants.
Yeah.
And so, no, we don't do things like that. So I would say, do not explain yourself. I'd say be aware of fawning. I think a lot of times when people have a hard time saying no, or when people are people pleasers, they have a tendency to overdo the fawning. And do you want to explain what fawning is?
Would you like me to demonstrate?
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Fawning is like when things are uncomfortable or things feel a little tensiony, you try to appease them, you try to make them happy, you try to figure out what they need or what they want.
Oh my God, I love that sweater. Where'd you get that sweater? That's so, oh my gosh, I can never, you always find everything. I never can find anything.
Yeah.
Like it really is a distraction to kind of make them not mad, make them not upset. And so you just kind of like
you're like, I love Taco Bell. Oh my God, I love Taco Bell too. It's my favorite.
The best ever.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a way to discharge tension, but it kind of comes off as very not genuine and not authentic. And like, you just know, if you find yourself fawning, just stop.
Yeah.
Because what I call it is it's like a bid for attention or a bid for somebody not to be upset with you. And you get to say what you need to say, but the other person has every right to have whatever response they want to.
Yeah.
And so allow people to have responses. You don't have to try to kind of, because then you kind of get into the control and the manipulation and let me make them not mad at me. Don't be mad at me. Don't be mad at me kind of thing. Yeah. And that makes it hard. When you know your value, you tend to get into less and less conversations like that. You'll get in and you'll get out, because you'll be like, no, we're not exchanging information. She's just trying to change my mind. Another way to kind of understand that is just be a broken record.
Yeah.
If you just, if somebody keeps asking something or somebody keeps trying to like go around all angles, then you just get to the point where you're like,
just keep saying the same thing.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
No,
Again,
thank
no,
you.
thank you. No, thank you. As I've stated previously, no, thank you. And eventually, when they can't get anything out of you,
they move on.
They move on to somebody else. Yeah. So I want you to kind of think about these things. It really is, growing up kingdom style, part of it, as you grow up, as you mature, as you get further along in your spiritual walk, it really is. It becomes your responsibility, who is given much is required. And you really do want to begin to think about, how do I want to steward these things? Who do I want to be as a person? Because, sometimes people try to control and manipulate because they're just broken people. And sometimes people try to control and manipulate, for just because they want what they want. And it's up to you to respond what I would say lovingly and kindly, and respond that way. And if they keep coming and keep coming, then you just become very firm and very insistent. And if you have to, just walk away from the conversation. Thank you. And just walk away. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be ugly. You don't have to get all triggered 9 kinds of ways. You can just say, this isn't the in your mind, this isn't the conversation I want to be in. So I'm going to plan an exit strategy out of this conversation. Yeah. Yep. So I want everybody here to kind of really think about all these awkward situations you find yourself in. And hopefully you don't find yourself in an incredible amount, but learn how to say uncomfortable things. Get more comfortable saying uncomfortable things and get in the practice of saying them in a loving way. So I'm going to pray us out. Christina's going to hope we're going to go see, hopefully we're still online. Dear Lord, we just humbly come before you, and we just thank you. We just have such extreme gratitude for all the beautiful relationships that you bring in our lives. May we be the face of Jesus to people. May we be an example of what you are in our lives to other people. May we just constantly show the love that you've poured out to us and the honor that you poured out to us. Lord, at the same time, while not being a doormat, we're not called to be doormats to people. Lord, let us find that perfect tension between the two. Again, Lord, just thank you. Thank you for all that you do for us. Lord, may you guide people in their awareness next week and the rest of this week and next week about their conversations. And Lord, help them be more comfortable having uncomfortable conversations. In Jesus' name, amen.